Hey everyone, my name is John Ciabra, and today I will be going over IT infrastructure, specifically on Chapter 5 of our notes. Here are a couple of the learning objectives that I'm going to be going over provided by the textbook. Obviously, the main thing being IT infrastructure. I'm going to be going over things such as hardware, the technology used in storages, and inputs, outputs, things such as this. Trends that are coming up in the world of technology and in the business world that's being used, and how overall MIS will help and affect my career in the future. So first, we're going to start off by the MIS graph, which for under people, BYOD, which means bring your own device, which is one example of technology that's going to be introduced into the workforce more and more as we go. Uh, Internet or app user ease under organization. This goes again with technology being used in the workforce, being able to monitor the health of the associates, what they're doing, stuff like this. Technology, here's a couple of the examples I listed. Business challenges with using the cloud rather than using like a warehouse to store your IT infrastructure on a actual building type place. Using the cloud is a lot more unlimited, has a lot further capabilities of using stuff, and ultimately will help the business grow. Information systems minimize business costs for the use of cloud infrastructure is one main thing, and allowing for hardware, software, etc., inputs, outputs, stuff like this, to be used efficiently by the customer, and that way they are satisfied, as you'll see by an example that's placed in here with American Airlines and business solutions, which are increased customers and sales and increased safety from associates from this technology. IT infrastructure is composed of five main areas. These are going to be software, which happens to do with monitoring things that are going on in the company, hardware, which is the technology that is used for storage, inputs, outputs, data management, which is more of a specialized technology that not everybody needs because they might not be as large of a company, but it helps organize and store data. Networking provides things such as data, voice or mobile for speaking, and such for the associates and employees to use. Services, which are the people who actually run the place, run the infrastructure so that the employees that are out on the floor can use it without issue. Now, chapter 5.1 of case material. It's going to be going over American Airlines issues they faced with their IT infrastructure. They used silos and ended up switching to IBM, the IBM Cloud, because it was a lot quicker. They were able to update their app, and because of this, they were able to redo their dynamic booking app in just 4.5 months. Now, 5.1 case study questions. I'm going to be going over all of the case study questions while answering and implementing the main points that are in Chapter 5 within it. So the first one was, how did cloud computing help American Airlines become more competitive? Um, like I said in the last slide, they were able to use the IBM Cloud to redesign their dynamic booking app, which allowed customers to go back, and if they had to cancel their flight for whatever reason, or if there was a delay, then they would be able to change it straight from the app, whereas they weren't able to do this because the lacking technology from their previous system with silos. What were the business benefits for American Airlines of using the cloud computing infrastructure? Now, the benefits were that they were able to use this from what they were able to use from the cloud computing infrastructure were that long term it was going to be cheaper. The customers were going to get a better experience. They were going to see faster speeds. They were able to redesign the app as they wished because they were able to store more, whereas before they had a limited capacity for what they could store. And they still do use um, their old IT infrastructure. However, they've gotten away from it largely and mainly gone to focus on the IBM cloud. Now for 5.2, specifically 5.2.3, case material, wearable technology is going to be the main topic that we're going to be talking about. Things such as glasses, watches, stuff such as this. Um, they were they were recently testing at Duke with the glasses, which I'm sure the majority of you have seen the Google Glass, which is basically just a set of glasses that you can actually see specific things, such as using GPS and seeing notifications. What Duke did was they were able to they used it in a way that their associates would be able to use GPS on it. However, they they weren't able to get the results that they wanted with the GPS, as it was as far as 15 feet off sometimes from where they needed to be. And this can prove difficult because there may be situations where 15 feet is the difference between a spot where an associate shouldn't be versus where they need to be. They were also using it to help with instructions on how to design things and stuff like this. The goal in it was to cut down time and error that's used in the workplace. So that way, rather than having to go to the other side of the store, they could just look it up on their glasses would pull it up, and that way they wouldn't have to go through calling the manager, seeing what he needs. They also implemented it to where you can talk to your manager via the glasses and such. So that way you can cut down time there as well. Now, the study questions and answers. Wearables have the potential to change the way organizations and workers conduct business. Discuss the implications about the statement. Now, wearable technology is capable of cutting down time. However, it does have issues in the manner that things such as the GPS again don't always work as wanted. However, rather than if you work in a warehouse such as Amazon per se, rather than having to walk to the other side of the store, look for the specific box you were given, you can pull it up right on your glasses. It'll give you the GPS direction to it, and you'll be able to find exactly where it is, cutting down time. The second one is what people, organization, and technology issues would have been addressed if a company was thinking of equipping its workers with wearable computing technology. This has already been discussed with the accuracy and, for example, 15 feet can be the difference between somewhere that's safe and somewhere that an associate shouldn't be, whether that be because there's a drop-off zone that they don't know about or what may happen that these GPS could lead them in the wrong direction. Number three, what kinds of businesses are most likely to benefit from wearable computers? Select a business and describe how a wearable computing device could help that business improve operations or decision making. Businesses that would benefit the most from wearable technologies would be widespread businesses, not smaller businesses, but businesses that have got maybe an acre-sized factory where they wouldn't be able to track down the manager that may be on shift, so they would just be able to contact them via the glasses or whatever the wearable might be. They also would be able to like pull up the instructions if they forgot how to do something right there on the glasses rather than going all the way to the office, finding the instructions, or finding an associate that may know. They can just pull it up right there. And here's an example of the Duke one that they were using up top, the Guardian with the Google Glass, and down on the bottom right, the oil rig. Rather than having to go to the other side, just showing the how big it is, you can just pull it up right there on your glasses. Now this is the second piece for the case material. This is another example from 523 again. Now there are many risks that are still going to be going onto the cloud. The pay-per-use method is not always something that's wanted because of the use of computers. Sometimes there's companies that are using computers nonstop all day long, and because of this, they're essentially being overcharged. So they would rather just keep the original IT infrastructure that they've been using. That way they don't have a pay increase. Now, the first question in this one is what business benefits do cloud computing services provide? What problems do they solve? Now, cloud computing services, they provide things such as they are able to help the larger companies because of the fact that they do not have to make these large warehouses, whereas smaller businesses, especially, um, they they don't need to make an entire warehouse for an IT infrastructure, so they're able to just use the cloud. Everybody's able to use the cloud, and because of this, they're saving hundreds of thousands up to millions of dollars from that warehouse with the IT infrastructure, hiring people, all these things that are involved, whereas they can just use the cloud. What are the disadvantages of cloud computing? The disadvantages of cloud computing are that they, again, with the pay-per-use styling, not everybody may like it because some companies are fully based off of the use of their computer, and therefore they would be using it all day long and see an increase in price. What kinds of businesses are most likely to benefit from using cloud computing and why? Companies that are small are going to be, again, the ones that are mainly focusing on it because it doesn't require that upfront money to build that warehouse with the IT infrastructure, of hiring the associates and such. Business problem solving case material. This was basically at the end of the chapter 5, just the extra case material. BYOD, this stands for bring your own device. This is such as bringing a phone into the workplace and using your phone to pull up documents and such. Some studies have shown that it does make it more productive, as you'll see with the Brothers Company. However, some people do not believe in this because they believe that people will get sidetracked in their personal life and being texting people, watching YouTube, these kinds of things. And because of this, not everyone has transferred over to this yet. Case study questions and answers. What are advantages and disadvantages of allowing employees to use their personal mobile devices for work? Again, this is a matter of people may get sidetracked. However, people may become more productive because they know their phones, they know exactly where they need to go. However, on the disadvantages side, it goes a little deeper than that because there are risks, whereas the computers and such that are monitored specifically by the company, they can't monitor your phones. However, in places such as Brothers Incorporated, I believe it is, um, they they monitor your phones, and this may not be something that a lot of people like, and therefore it may become an issue. What people, organization, and technology factors should be addressed when deciding whether to allow employees to use their mobile devices for work? One group of people that did not seem to be addressed in the case were the actual associates, and this was them having the restrictions put on their phones by Brother Industries. Um, I personally would not like my phone being restricted by the company that I work for, and I would rather just use a company phone rather than giving the information to my employer that's on my phone. And number three, compare and evaluate how the companies described in the case study dealt with the challenges of BYOD, bring your own device. The companies that are shown is Brother Industries and the ARUP Group Limited. With Brothers Industries, they put restrictions on people's phones so that way they were able to see what people were doing and they can control that. Whereas the ARUP Group Limited did not, and they still saw increased productivity among all the workers, or at least the majority of the workers, I should say. Number four, allowing employees to use their own smartphones for work will save company money. Do you agree? Why or why not? I do agree that it will save money because people are able to navigate through their phones a lot quicker, and therefore they will increase productivity, as well as the fact that companies won't have to continue to get more and more computers and things of this nature, and they will be able to clear out rooms to use that for production. And again, they won't have to buy more of these technology products and therefore saving the money there as well. And that is going to be it for the presentation. I hope you enjoyed and thank you for your time.